Hey everybody, I hope you're having a good day today. So, I'm doing Goodman and I decided to do evolution for my BioBits project, specifically allopatric speciation. I added in a cute little cartoon because I thought it would be nice to see on your day. It says, "If you really love me, you'd swim across." It's two foxes with a river running in between them. I thought it was a nice little start. So what is it? The textbook definition of it says that allopatric speciation is a speciation that happens when two populations of the same species become isolated from each other due to geological changes. I decided to put that into a more understandable definition. It's when groups of the same species get separated by geological barriers, or a group of the species decides to move to a different section or a different area, and they create different habits, different behaviors, and over many years, these behaviors and habits end up making it impossible for the group that moved or that got separated to breed with the previous group of the same species. For example, Charles Darwin's finches. He decided to study these finches in the Galapagos Islands, and he noticed a sort of pattern between all of them. They were all very similar, but they had small changes. One of the biggest changes that he noticed was their beak sizes and shapes. It was changed based on their food and the resources around them. I put an example up on the screen where there's large round finch, which that eat seeds, and you can tell the beak is different from, say, the cactus groundfinch. That one has a more round one for cracking the nuts, and the cactus groundfinch has the more longer one for eating the fruits and flowers off of the cactus. In the example, there's also the vegetarian finch and the woodpecker finch. Look at the diagram on the top. You can see the different types of finches and how they're similar but different with their shapes, sizes, beak sizes, feather colors, all different types of stuff. These finches actually were the reason why Charles Darwin created the theory of evolution. It's quite interesting to know. So some examples of geographical barriers are islands, like Darwin's finches were on, canyons. There are Grand Canyon squirrels. There are squirrels that actually got separated by the Grand Canyon, which happened over years. The Grand Canyon did not just appear, but they have different behavior and habits and all of the different resources on both sides. And there's also climate change, where over the years, a population can get separated and one environment can change and the other one can stay the same or change in a different way. And both of these environments cause the animals to adapt in order to survive. Example of geographical barriers are mountain ranges. Mountain ranges happen over time, and it divides populations into two groups. These two groups adapt to their new environments, creating new behaviors and habits that separate them from their original population. So there are two different types of allopatric speciation, and one of those is dispersal. So that's when a few members of the species move into a new area and adapt to their environment. This is not when there's a geographical change that happens, like a mountain is formed or a river is formed. This is when the species actually moves to a different area, and that's when they change their behaviors, their habits, and then can no longer mate with the original population. Another one of the allopatric speciation is vicariance. This is when the geographical change occurs with the mountain or the river, the canyon, and it separates the original species into the two groups. I put in a diagram of what happens, so it's a more visual effect, and there's also a funny cartoon that I thought was kind of cute that has to do kind of with the Charles Darwin finches. So there are steps to the allopatric speciation. So the first step is that the species is separated normally by a long geological process, but it could also be by them moving, which is also still a long geological process, but it's not the change in the geography. Second stage in the process is that the new groups develop to the new changes in their new habitat. So they find new food, they find new resources, they come up with new mating techniques. So this leads into number 3, which they change so much that they can't reproduce with the separated group because they've changed so much within their mating practices or their food or their resources. They've developed and become their own species. This is very important to remember that it happens over many years. It doesn't happen within a week, a month. This happens over years. The overview is that allopatric speciations is when a species becomes separated over time and can't reproduce with the original population, so they form their own species. There's 2 types of the speciation, which is dispersal, they move away, and vicariance, which is the geological barrier. There's also the steps of speciation that happens over years. It's separated, developing new habits, behaviors, mating, food, and then they can't reproduce with the original species because of all of these changes. I've also added in my works cited, which is all the research that I have done on top of the lectures from my general biology class at Mass Maritime. And I've works cited the pictures that I have used, giving the credit to the creators that deserve it. Thank you.